Today, America is, without a doubt, the richest and most powerful country in history. But what's really incredible is that its rise to the top was, well, completely unexpected. For over a century after Europeans first arrived, the land that would become the United States was pretty much ignored.
After Columbus bumped into the Caribbean, Europe's major powers looked at this vast northern continent and, for the most part, just shrugged. It really wasn't what they were looking for at all.
So how on earth did a forgotten backwater transform into a global superpower? Well, that story is a wild ride of accidents, ambition, and a whole lot of conflict.
To really get this, we have to go all the way back to the man who started it all, not by design, but by making a massive navigational error: Christopher Columbus.
Columbus was looking for a spice route to Asia. He didn't find any spices, but he found something that would change the course of history: gold. That one single word completely captured the attention of the Spanish crown and basically set the agenda for the next 100 years of exploration.
So with the Pope's blessing, Spain and Portugal literally drew a line on the map. Everything to the west was Spain's, everything to the east was Portugal's. And since the real treasures, the massive gold and silver mines of the Aztec and Inca empires, were all in Central and South America, that's exactly where Spain poured all its energy. Now, Spain did send a few expeditions north, but they all came back empty-handed. No giant gold or silver deposits, and no big centralized empires to conquer and plunder. So to the Spanish, it just seemed like a land of harsh climates and not much else. They actually called it useless, which left the continent that would become the United States wide open for the taking.
So if the Spanish weren't interested, who was? Well, eventually, the other European powers, we're talking the English and the French, finally decided to show up to the party. And they had two totally different approaches. The British colonies along the coast just exploded in population, with over 1 million settlers pouring in. Meanwhile, New France was this huge territory in the middle of the continent with only about 60,000 people. That massive imbalance was just bound to lead to a major conflict.
And it did. Britain won that war, kicking France right out of North America. But victory was really expensive. So, to pay the bills, Britain started taxing the colonies. The colonists fired back with a simple but powerful idea: no taxation without representation. That argument just spiraled into protests, then fights, and finally, a full-blown revolution.
But believe it or not, winning the war was just the beginning of their problems. Their first attempt at a government was a complete disaster. The 13 states were acting like squabbling, independent little countries, and the whole nation was on the brink of failure. To save it, they had to start all over again, writing a brand new constitution to create a stable federal government, a foundation strong enough for the incredible growth that was about to come.
Okay, so with a working government finally in place, the tiny new nation on the East Coast was about to get a whole lot bigger, mostly through sheer dumb luck.
See, the US government initially just wanted to buy the port of New Orleans to secure trade on the Mississippi River. That's it. But Napoleon, who was desperate for cash to fund his wars back in Europe, made this astonishing on-the-spot decision. He offered to sell them the whole thing.
And the price for a territory that would literally define America's future? A shockingly low $15 million. Even back then, it was one of the greatest real estate deals in all of history.
And just like that, with one signature, the United States doubled in size. This wasn't some grand American strategy. It was a European dictator needing money. It was an accident of history that changed absolutely everything.
And that purchase kicked off this incredible 50-year expansion. The US bought Florida from Spain, they annexed the independent Republic of Texas, and after a really ugly war, took a huge swath of land from Mexico. The country now is stretched from sea to shining sea.
But as the country grew, a deep and poisonous crack was forming right down the middle, a crack that would eventually shatter the whole nation. The issue, of course, was slavery. In the North, it was illegal and increasingly seen as a profound moral evil. But in the South, the entire economy was built on the institution of slavery, and they feared that ending it would lead to total economic ruin. These were two fundamentally incompatible worldviews living in the same country.
For decades, they argued and they made these fragile compromises. But the election of Abraham Lincoln, who opposed the expansion of slavery into new territories, was the breaking point. The Southern states saw his victory as a direct threat to their entire way of life and decided to leave the Union.
What followed was the deadliest war in American history. The Civil War tore the country apart, but in the end, the North won.
The result was a reforged nation, one country, not just a collection of states, and, crucially, the abolition of slavery. The United States was, finally, united. And now, as a single, unified, and rapidly industrializing nation, America started to look beyond its own shores and began to step onto the world stage. America's debut as a global power was incredibly swift and decisive. It came during the Spanish-American War in 1898. In just a matter of months, the U.S. military seized the last pieces of Spain's once mighty empire, and in that same period, it annexed the strategic Hawaiian Islands, securing a vital Pacific outpost. An old empire was crumbling, and a new American one was just beginning.
This new, assertive attitude was perfectly captured by President Teddy Roosevelt's quest for the Panama Canal. When his initial deal with Colombia for the land fell through, Roosevelt, well, he simply encouraged and supported a Panamanian independence movement. And then he just made a new deal with the brand new country of Panama. It was aggressive, it was pragmatic, and it got the job done.
That canal was really the final piece of the puzzle. It allowed America's powerful new navy to move quickly between the Atlantic and the Pacific. Think about it. In less than 50 years, the country had gone from a fractured nation healing from a civil war to an industrial titan with global reach. With a continent secured and naval power projecting across 2 oceans, the United States was no longer some isolated experiment. It was a world power, arriving on the scene just as the world was about to erupt into the First World War.
So as we look back at these 400 years of history, from a useless land ignored by empires to the dominant global power, we're left with a really fascinating question. Was America's rise some kind of inevitable destiny, or was it a remarkable chain of lucky breaks, chance encounters, and historic accidents? What do you think?